You ever put a part or an accessory on your bike and you think almost instantly to yourself, why didn't I put this on sooner? Or even worse, kind of like what I did, you've used it in the past after asking yourself, why didn't I put this on sooner? And then you get a new bike and it takes 2 years to put it back on your new bike. Now, this is kind of what I did, and that's why I want to talk about it, because there's so many different options for riding pegs that you would think, or maybe you start to think, like, well, they all kind of do the same thing. And while some accessories I find are more about aesthetics and things like that, I really appreciate and love the ones that are designed to keep you more comfortable. And this is just one of those things I rode without for so long, being uncomfortable. For what reason, I don't know, but I'm going to tell you why I think the Ciro frame mounted peg specifically is the best setup that you can actually run. I'll give you my opinion, and of course I want to hear yours, man. What is the one part that you put on your motorcycle that you think to yourself, like, why didn't I do this sooner? Let me know down below. Let's go ahead and jump right in. So the riding peg. Now, the first step in comfort, of course, for me anyways, is floorboards. When you start getting up in age a little bit, you start to notice that it doesn't really take long rides to start to get uncomfortable. Your hips, your legs, your back, lower back, upper back, shoulders even, start to all get a little bit uncomfortable being in that position for a while. And if you think about being in your truck or your car, you have the ability to kind of stretch out. Well, on a motorcycle, there's only so far you can stretch out, even with the biggest floorboards on the planet, which is what Indian offers. But there's only so much you can stretch out without riding pegs, okay? Now I know that a lot of you guys already know this, but for anybody that doesn't, there's such a big difference in riding pegs, and one of the things that I think really comes down to, at least for me, is going to be adjustability. There's been several bikes that I've been on with riding pegs that I just simply can't reach. If you can't reach them, well, they really do no good to you. They're just a bolt-on part, and that's not something that I want. So the real question isn't whether riding pegs work, it's can you get them in the right position in order to make them work for you? Now, before we talk about what I think is the best attribute for these, we have to talk about insulation, because you may be thinking, well, frame mounted, this is going to be a much more involved and complicated process that may not even be worth it, but fortunately, Ciro makes this easy as well. You use an existing bolt hole that Harley Davidson already has in place, and then you take out an existing bolt for your front floorboard. Ciro provides the hardware, including the bolts, washers, and lock washers that you need. I think this took me about 30 minutes for both sides. That's with setting up the camera and everything and just trying to get some different angles. I mean, it's seriously not hard at all. My mechanical knowledge is not the best, I will admit that, but fortunately they make this very easy to do. Here's the other good part. It works with or without your engine guards. No drilling, no modification. They make that part of it super easy. Then it's just a matter of picking out whichever riding pegs you want to go with. Ciro was nice enough to send me the new chicane series that they have, which is a super slick setup, including some new stuff that they actually have out now too, that I'll do a future video on. But that's what I'm rocking with here as far as the pegs. They are a nice, grippy, slim option, and they look really good. Of course, you have chrome or black, whichever fits the aesthetic of your bike the best. So then it comes down to the best part. This is what you're not going to get almost on any other highway peg out there. That's the ability to adjust the arm. By the way, if you are taller, right, you have over a 34-inch inseam, they have an extended version of these too. But mine are the standard, okay? But what's nice is not only can you adjust the peg in and out, up and down, depending on where you want it, like this. You can rotate it, of course, but then you adjust that arm back and forth as well. Unloosen the bolt, put it in position, get on the bike, check it out, make sure it works, tighten it up. See, this is huge because once it's frame mounted with an adjustable arm and the adjustable peg, now you eliminate one of the biggest issues for shorter riders, maybe even taller riders too, and that is you can't move the engine guards, and there's only so much that you can actually move that bracket around that attaches to the engine guard. Not only that, I don't know if it's just me, maybe it's not, probably not, but this is also a more seamless and integrated OEM look as well. And if you keep your engine guards on, you're not going to have that ugly looking ring that those locking clamps essentially will leave behind. But then you get to adjust them to your specs, right? So your hip position, where the bend in your knee is, your seating position. It gives you a true secondary position to be able to really stretch out your legs wherever you want without feeling overstretched, or maybe even worse, feeling crunched up. Here's another thing that some riders may run into, and that is, if you have lowers on your bike, there's only one position that you can really put a set of riding pegs. Well, you can't change the location of the lowers, just like the engine guards. So you are stuck with having those things attached to the engine guard. It doesn't matter if they can rotate or not. You have to be tall enough to actually reach those things, and they're further away from the floorboard, making it feel more unnatural, at least in my opinion. With the Ciro, they're frame mounted. They come up under the floorboard and they fall right offset of that. So it gives you better clearance and a more natural position in order to have that secondary position. By the way, when I put these on, I think it was my Road Glide special a couple years ago, I did a video and people were asking about ground clearance. Is this going to affect your ground clearance? And this is where the true benefit of their engineers at Ciro have kind of come in and looked at this. You can tell this is something they've already thought about. So the way they have their brackets, it actually falls in line a little bit closer to the bike than what the factory bracket does. Now, is there a chance that you lose a little bit of ground clearance? Yeah, maybe. But because it's tucked so close to that floorboard and the way they've designed it, and at least the way I have mine set up, you're talking very minimal impacts. And if you're getting to the point where you're scraping floorboards, then this could be a slight factor for you. But most of the time, most turns, most riders are not going to be pushing the bike to those limits anyways. And most of the time, the turns that you're making don't have to be that tight either. So I think for most people, they'll be fine. But if you want maximum clearance, maybe this isn't the best option for you. But when it comes to losing clearance, you're not talking about a whole lot. And riding with them is as good as you would expect, right? And so one of the things I notice is anytime I would ride in the past with some of the clamp-on style for your engine guards, you kind of forget that they're there. I don't know if forget is the right word, but essentially, they're there, but they're so unusable. It's like, why even try to take the time to like stretch way out here? And they become uncomfortable. It's like you have to try to use some of those. In this case, they're there. It's hard to forget about them. They're not in the way. They're just in the perfect spot. And being able to move from the floorboard to the riding peg back and forth so easily and seamlessly is definitely what I was looking for. It's what I was missing as well, to be totally honest with you. See, these little things play a key part in comfort. And riding pegs is one of the easiest things that you can actually install to increase your comfort. But it seems like most other companies out there just give you a typical clamp-on style that in theory works, but it doesn't work this good. So these frame-mounted highway pegs from Ciro are simply on another level. Now, we're actually working with Ciro, so I have a link down below. If you use that link, you can go over and check these out. And if you want to pick them up and you buy from that link, it actually supports me as well. Like I said, this is one of the best and quickest bolt-on options that looks OEM, but even better than how it looks is how it functions, and this is top tier. That's just my opinion though. I'd love to hear from y'all. Let me know down below if you like what I do. Consider subscribing. See you in the next one, and as always, hold them down.